My buddy kept earnestly warning me not to be a simp. Saying Willow wasn't truly into me. Saying that a simp like me would end up with nothing. But I turned a deaf ear to all of it. I even agreed on the spot to that outrageous 880,000 yuan bride price. Until my girlfriend's Prince Charming returned to the country, and flirted with her right in front of me. Only then did I become overjoyed. I pulled out my wish list, and checked off a box. Sleep with a 3060 beauty, achieved. Finally found someone to take over the whole mess. After all, I already got what I wanted. Whether she's sincere or not, why would I care? I never planned to marry her anyway. Even if she asked for 88 million, I wouldn't even blink. Chapter 1. At my girlfriend's birthday party, I was mocked face-to-face by her Prince Charming, Makoto. George, why are all of Willow's WeChat moments just selfies? There's not a single post about you. Anyone who doesn't know better would think she's single. I showed a miserable smile, the kind that screams unrequited love. I said, maybe she just doesn't like me that much. I looked downcast as I added, honestly, I've always known. After all, for the past few years it's always been me giving her gifts and surprises. As for me, having her might already be enough. The atmosphere stiffened. Willow's best friend immediately complained to me. George, why would you say that about Willow? That's just how relationships work. Of course the one who pursues should put in more effort. And it's not like Willow only takes without giving. A while ago she even asked my boyfriend for advice about preparing your birthday gift. Hearing that, I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. They're the ones who say men must take the initiative in love, and they're also the ones who say the one who takes the initiative has to give more. It's practically a perfect logical loop. It's just that this kind of moral judgment contains no facts and cannot be proven true or false. It merely expresses the speaker's likes and dislikes, a purely emotional appeal. I tugged at the corner of my mouth and said, really? But my birthday was 2 days ago. She forgot. Willow's expression darkened. She said, why are you bringing this up? Didn't I apologize afterward? Besides, isn't it normal for you to give me gifts? If I don't get anything from you, what am I even dating you for? If I don't like someone, I don't even want to spend his money. And about the WeChat moments thing, I told you already. I don't want people knowing about my private life. But the next second, her best friend said, but I remember back in middle school, you used to show off your relationship with your boyfriend all the time on WeChat moments. Willow blushed and muttered, I was stupid and childish back then. People grow up. Makoto chuckled. Is that so? I thought growing up just meant love isn't as passionate as when we were younger. Their back and forth looked like playful bickering, but the underlying tension was practically glowing with flirtation. Funny how everyone at the table had been hiding it from me all night. At this point, even if I were blind, I could see they had dated. A birthday party where her loving current boyfriend and her still lingering ex showed up together. Classic Willow. Makoto glanced at me and said with a smile, George, as a man, you should be more generous. Loving someone means always feeling you owe them. Women only care about the attitude. When I give Willow gifts, I never fuss about gains or losses. This part one can confirm, Makoto really simps harder than I ever did. Every holiday he sends Willow money, gifts, new iPhones, luxury handbags. He spares no expense just to outdo me, as if proving he can make Willow happier would make me back off. Too bad, I honestly couldn't care less about whether she's happy. I smiled good-naturedly, pulled up the post on my phone, and showed Makoto. I said, bro, look, Willow actually did post a picture of us together. A lot of people at this table even liked it. So she probably set that one to be invisible to you. You might be her backup option, her spare ATM. Makoto froze. Willow became furious and snapped. George, can you stop already? I waved a hand casually and said, hey, why are you raising your voice? Everything I said is true. Chapter 2. I once liked Willow so badly, completely, hopelessly obsessed. The first time I met her was when she brought her younger cousin to my physics tutoring class. Her face stunned me. How could a girl be that beautiful? Delicate features, long eyelashes, every subtle expression filled with irresistible charm. It's not like I've never seen girls before. In our university class of 70 people, there were actually 2 who were girls. The poor class beauty was overshadowed in front of her. I asked her cousin, what's your sister's name? Send me her WeChat, and can you have her bring you again next time? Her cousin tilted her head and said, you're the 3rd tutor to ask me that. I said, she takes such good care of you. She'll definitely become a great wife and a great mother in the future. Her cousin was speechless. That's how our relationship started, me persistently chasing, and her half-heartedly accepting. To this day, I still don't understand why she agreed to date me. She clearly didn't like me that much. Maybe she was bored. Maybe she was impressed by my relentless pursuit. Maybe she didn't want to miss out on the physics tutor who finally helped her cousin pass the class. The day I kissed her, I felt heaven had finally shown me mercy. I had finally become the overpowered protagonist I used to fantasize about as a kid. The day I slept with her, I swore I would donate 5 million to children in poverty once I got rich. Mom, the world really loves me. Chapter 3. My family didn't think highly of her, and even my friends could see Willow wasn't sincere with me. They told me not to be a simp, but I didn't care much. I already had her physically, why should I care whether she loved me sincerely or not? Besides, since I had already won her, suffering a bit emotionally felt natural. Otherwise, I'd even worry that life was treating me too well and something worse would happen later. She never took photos with me, nor did she let me post her pictures online. When my buddies heard I had a girlfriend and said they wanted to meet her, Willow said she didn't want to. On Valentine's Day, my coworkers were all planning to leave work early. They asked me what I was doing that night. I said, nothing much, just heading home early and playing some games. They were confused. Wait, what? You're not spending it with your girlfriend? Did you two fight? I didn't tell them I had been planning this Valentine's Day for a long time. I spent 4 years in college single as hell, finally having a girlfriend. I valued this Valentine's Day a lot, but when I prepared the gift, booked the restaurant, and asked Willow whether she was free that night, she said she already planned a camping trip with her girlfriends. All girls, no guys. I said Valentine's Day should be spent with your boyfriend, shouldn't it? She immediately turned it back on me, accusing me of acting on my own, not respecting her, and booking a restaurant without asking for her opinion. I was speechless. I work far from my hometown and often have to work overtime. My mom always calls to ask whether I'm tired and whether I have enough money. But today she brought up how Willow had mentioned wanting 880,000 yuan as a bride price, plus a house in City C under her name if we got married. My mom hesitated and said, "Does Willow really want a future with you?" She added, "Your dad and I can help with the bride price and the house, but you need to think carefully first." But I cut her off. "Think about what?" My mom said, "About you two getting married." I laughed. I said, "Who said we're getting married?" My mom looked completely baffled. I continued, "I never planned to marry her anyway, even if she wants 1 million. It has nothing to do with me." I said, "Once I save enough money, I'm going abroad. If my girlfriend truly loved me, I'd actually feel burdened. It's easier that Willow doesn't like me that much. Makes the breakup convenient." My buddy always said to me, "I've never seen you this humble before. What kind of beauty is worth this?" Well, Willow is beautiful enough to be worth it. And not just beautiful, she's skilled too. They say a night of passion is priceless. I don't need to spend a priceless, just paint a few pretty dreams, and I get soul-shaking nights in return. Honestly, that's a great deal. After a few more tutoring sessions, Willow's younger cousin warned me, "My sister's first love is Makoto. He's coming back to the country in September. You should watch out." I was a little surprised. Then I laughed. I said, "Thanks for worrying about me. You didn't even want to give me her WeChat before, and now you're helping me." She looked at me as if she hated how clueless I was. She said, "I just think your relationship looks painful. You checked your phone 18 times in one break and still didn't get a reply from my sister. You can explain physics so well, how come you can't figure out women?" I rubbed my chin, not sure whether I was making excuses for myself or for Willow. I said, "Your sister's so pretty, it's normal for her to be a little cold." Her cousin protested indignantly. "So what if she's pretty? You're not bad either. You graduated from T University, you radiate intelligence, and you make money. One-on-one tutoring is 1,000 yuan an hour. How much do you earn in a month?" She continued, "You and my sister are a perfect match, smart guy, beautiful girl. My parents and I all think you're great together." I couldn't help laughing as I said, thank you, you flatter me too much." Chapter 4. As the money I saved for studying abroad grew closer to my goal, Willow's so-called Prince Charming's return date drew closer too. I knew this year-long fling of ours would eventually come to an end. My thoughts drifted back as Willow said coldly, "George, I don't know what's gotten into you lately." She continued, "So after you finally got me, this is your attitude. Let me tell you, if you want to date, then date properly. If you don't, then we break up." Everyone thought I would back down and apologize, since I was always the one coaxing her, but I had already saved enough money. I lowered my head, heart aching, my voice hoarse as I said, "Willow, I fell in love with you the first moment I saw you. But I've always known you don't like me that much. In your heart, I can never compare to your first love." I said, "I don't want to be in a relationship I can't win anymore." Word by word, I said, "Let's break up." She froze. Then she suddenly laughed and said, "Fine, don't regret it." I stood up and left in loneliness, leaving behind a defeated silhouette. Chapter 5. The atmosphere in the private room froze. Someone said, "Willow, don't stay mad at your boyfriend." She said unhappily, "Who's mad? He's the one who went too far. Makoto was just joking. Did he really need to be so aggressive?" Someone tried to interject, but Willow snapped, angry, "But Makoto wasn't wrong. Of course I don't feel as passionate now as I did with my first love. Why can't he handle the truth? George, being overly sensitive isn't my problem. Her best friend tried to comfort her. George liked you so much before. Suddenly seeing your ex would make anyone uncomfortable. Willow rolled her eyes and said, he should know his place. Do I like him that much? He brought up breaking up. How dare he? A satisfied smile appeared on Makoto's face. Someone else tried to persuade her. George must be regretting it like crazy right now. I bet the moment he walked out of the restaurant, he started thinking about how to beg for your forgiveness. He's just too embarrassed to say it. Willow, give him a call. Give him a way out. Makoto suddenly said, what's wrong with you guys? I'm the one who's actually your friend here, and I'm sitting right here. You're really going to take George's side? What did he ever do for you? The person next to him said, Makoto, they're just having a couple's fight. George and Willow are boyfriend and girlfriend. We can't encourage Willow to dump him and be with you instead. That'd be messed up. Another agreed. Exactly. Makoto was left speechless. Willow was also irritated. At some point, her childhood friends had all started defending George. That man really knew how to play the long game, winning over her friends to speak well of him. Did he think that meant he could control her? She didn't like him that much. He should know that. Chapter 6. I went back to the rental apartment Willow and I shared. And Cola was waiting for me at the door. Cola was a little mutt, soft fur, bright eyes, and a bit of a people-pleasing personality. Back when Willow and I went hiking, the owner of a farmhouse told us their dog had given birth and said we could take a puppy if we wanted. I refused immediately. I didn't own a place in City C, and I was preparing to study abroad. How could I take care of a dog? But the puppy was so clingy. When we were leaving in the morning, it grabbed onto us, unwilling to let go. The owner asked, are you sure you don't want to take it? I was about to refuse again when Willow said, I want to keep it. I asked her, are you sure? Are you prepared to take responsibility for it for its whole life? Willow let out a soft hum and said meaningfully, what about you? Aren't you planning to take responsibility? My emotions were mixed as I said, I mean, since you said you want to keep it, if one day we break up, would you still be able to raise it on your own? She gave me a long look, didn't answer, and simply carried the puppy into the car. I fed Cola, took it out for a walk. While I packed my luggage, it kept circling around my feet. I stroked its head, reluctant, and said, sorry, little guy, I'm leaving. Half joking, half heartless, I said. At the end of the day, you're your mom's dog. Your mom and I were just a fleeting romance. You and I aren't even related. It wagged its tail as if half understanding, circled me again, then went to the living room to fetch a ball, wanting me to play with it. I didn't have many belongings. One suitcase was enough. After packing, I played with the dog until it got tired. I used up all the film left in my Polaroid taking photos of it. Then I rubbed its head and said, Cola, I'm leaving. You must always be a happy, healthy little dog. Chapter 7. I checked into a hotel, ordered a cup of coffee, and opened my old notebook. The first page was something I had written on my 20th birthday. 100 wishes to accomplish before turning 30. 1. Take part in a research project related to controlled nuclear fusion. 2. Do a PhD at MIT. 3. Buy my parents a big house back in our hometown. 4. Learn to surf. 5. Travel around the world. 6. Date an ultra super gorgeous beauty. 7. Think about it later. Crossed out. 7. Save 1.5 million. Crossed out. 7. Save 2 million. I had arranged these goals by difficulty. The first one came true quickly. In my junior year, I ranked top 2 in my department and received a scholarship to Switzerland to join a summer research project in plasma physics. I even got a recommendation letter from a famous professor. That year, I was full of ambition. Everything felt under my control. I thought the second goal would follow soon after. But because of various twists and turns, I drifted further and further away from the research path I had set for myself. Ironically, the goal I once thought was least likely, the sixth one, was the first to come true. And the seventh goal? I added that later. After several revisions, now I only had 20 or 30,000 left before reaching it. It was time to get back on track. I sent a WeChat message to a former classmate who now teaches at MIT. Anna, can I talk to you about applying for the PhD program at MIT? Chapter 8. Anna was my classmate during undergrad. She was a competition gold medalist, recommended all the way up, and naturally went to MIT for her PhD. Back then, everyone said the two of us were like mirror versions of each other. I also thought I would follow the same path, step by step. In senior year, I talked with Anna about applying to MIT. She helped me a lot, very warmly. We video called so many times that it even felt like we were drifting towards something ambiguous. But right before the results came out, I withdrew my application. She called me, furious, and demanded, I heard you joined a tutoring agency to make quick money. She said, can you have some ambition? The golden period for doing research is short. George, Do you even value your own talent? I vaguely felt she was right. The field I wanted to pursue was making breakthroughs every year. Wait a few years, and there might not be much left for me, but I didn't want to choose differently. After that, we stopped contacting each other, and just like that, 3 years passed. Anna happened to come back to the country during spring break, and we arranged a late-night meal. She pulled out a chair, set her bag at her side, sat down, and immediately said to me, "I've always wanted to apologize, but I didn't know how to bring it up." She looked straight at me and said, "I didn't know what you were going through back then. I questioned your decisions and even snapped at you." She wore a blue knitted sweater and a white skirt, a student-like outfit with no sense of age. Her eyes were sincere. For a moment, I remembered the first day we met in the lab. It felt as if the passing years had been an illusion. I said, "Back then, my family got scammed out of 1.5 million yuan by telecom fraud. My mom said it was the money meant for my studies abroad. I told her I had a scholarship, but she didn't believe me. She asked around everywhere trying to exchange foreign currency, and that's when she got targeted. During that time, my parents were constantly spaced out, replaying the scam over and over. If I went to get my PhD on scholarship, that financial hole would always be there. Seeing them in that mental state was worrisome, and to me, that money was their retirement savings. When it disappeared, I felt a hollow emptiness inside. I calculated it. If I used the reputation of T University to tutor, charging 1,000 yuan per hour, the agency takes 400 and I get 600, 4 hours a day is 2,400. I could earn it all back in less than 2 years. The job was easy, paid well, and wasn't illegal. Going back to school 2 years late didn't seem too bad. I never told anyone this. Willow didn't know either. Anna spoke softly. "So, now, you've solved it all." I grinned and nodded. Saving money happened faster than I expected. Within half a year of joining the agency, I gained some reputation, and they increased my hourly rate. My share became higher too. After checking inflation data, I started thinking that 1.5 million felt a bit too little, might as well save 2 million. Once I reached 2 million, I would quit. A few nights ago, staring at the numbers in my bank account nearing 2 million, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief and satisfaction. Anna said, "That's incredible. Kind of like enduring hardship for future success." Holding it in for so long and finally saying it aloud, it was its own kind of release. Truthfully, it wasn't that bitter. During that time, I chased down Willow and unlocked new life experiences. A woman I once only dared admire through photos ended up living under the same roof with me. Even the days spent preparing for the future were full of flavor. Chapter 9. I quickly rented a new apartment and pulled out my study abroad application from 3 years ago to revise it. Fortunately, I had kept up with the recent research progress in the field. Last year, I even took 2 months to join a university research project. My language scores and GRE were still valid. It was just the personal statements that needed a major rewrite, and I had to reconnect with professors for recommendation letters. Anna offered to help me as well. During her break, she came to my place every day to review my materials. It felt like going back to those high school days preparing for physics competitions. Back then, a few of us would gather at a familiar classmate's house, squeeze around one desk, each doing our own problems, and then discussing them afterward. We had similar talent, and none of us were distracted. We didn't worry about money. We didn't worry about anything outside of physics. That was my comfort zone. During this time, Willow called me twice. I didn't really catch what she wanted. I only heard the thick dissatisfaction in her voice, accusations, complaints, and belittling spilling out like rapid fire. When I work, I enter a kind of flow state, emotions muted. So I said, "I've been busy lately. Whatever it is, let's talk in 2 weeks. Willow was furious and hung up immediately. Anna asked, "Run into a difficult parent?" I shrugged. "Ex-girlfriend." Then I added, "Well, technically a parent too. Her cousin takes tutoring lessons from me." Anna didn't ask further and went back to helping me prepare for the interview. After a while, Willow sent me 2 photos and said, "Cola won't eat properly. If you don't come back, the dog is going to die." Anna caught a glimpse and asked, "So you dumped her?" I shook my head. "She dumped me." Anna frowned. "But she looks like she's panicking." Chapter 10. I still felt uneasy, so I told Anna we should end early. I needed to check on Cola. Willow opened the door, and Cola circled around my feet. It was nothing like the lifeless dog in the photos, full of energy, lively and bouncy like a high-jump athlete. I picked Cola up and rubbed its head, helplessly saying, "If you really don't want to take care of it, I'll keep it." I thought, worst case, I'll take it abroad with me. Renting a dog-friendly apartment isn't impossible. Suddenly, she stood on tiptoe, hooked her arms around my neck, and kissed me. The little dog let out a startled yelp and jumped down. What the hell? Do breakups come with after-sales service now? Didn't expect today to include a passionate scene. While I was still stunned, she pushed on my chest, forcing me down onto the sofa. The next second she straddled my lap and slipped off her jacket. My rationality snapped back and I said, "Did you sleep with Makoto? I don't want anything that's been contaminated." She glared at me furiously. I warned. "No way. Answer clearly." Only then did she huff in frustration and say, "No, we didn't." Then, angry and embarrassed, she bit my shoulder. Great, no risk, perfect. I still didn't know why she was so mad, but honestly, after breaking up, everything is just a bonus. Whatever's going on in her mind, what does it have to do with me? Soon it was past midnight. I drifted off and woke again when the sky was bright. Sunlight slipped through the curtains, landing on her chest and thighs. I couldn't help touching her. The sensation felt unreal. I was eating too well. Who would have thought that after breaking up, I'd still be eating this good? If I posted this on TikTok, wouldn't I get tens of thousands of likes from the guys? The next second, Willow asked, "Do you admit you were wrong?" I was speechless. I instantly felt a bit impotent. Last night she was crying and begging me not to stop, and today she's acting like she's the one in charge again. I admit, before, I always backed down because I was horny, so I kept giving in to her. But the breakup after sales has ended. Why would I still spoil her? I said slowly. "We're just friends with benefits. You didn't actually think I came back to reconcile, did you?" Chapter 11. Willow was about to explode from anger. George used to love her like a madman, chasing her relentlessly, so how did things turn into her looking like the one who was blinded by love? George was infuriating. Not long after getting her, he somehow infiltrated all her friend circles. Everyone kept saying how good he was to her, how much he treated her like a treasure, as if he was her only option. That night at her birthday party, she'd had a few drinks, her eyes red at the corners. Makoto was interested. She wasn't opposed, so the two naturally got in a taxi together. She sat in the back seat, tipsy and leaning into Makoto, and Makoto conveniently wrapped an arm around her, the faint scent of wood and grass lingering in the air. Makoto said he'd take her to a hotel and was just about to tell the driver the address. Suddenly, the passenger door opened, and Maria got in. She narrowed her eyes and asked, "Well, why are you two leaning so close, planning to share one seatbelt?" "Makoto, what are you doing? Taking advantage of Willow because she's drunk? Move away." Makoto gave an awkward smile and immediately shifted away from Willow. Willow shot Maria a glare. She wanted nothing more than to kick her out of the car. Maria opened her map app and told the driver, "I've mapped the best route. We'll drop Makoto off first, then me. Follow my directions." Willow protested. "Maria, get out and call your own ride." But Maria's voice turned cold. "Willow, don't forget, you have a boyfriend." Then she turned to Makoto. "Makoto, why don't you take a separate car? Willow and I need to talk." Makoto still had some sense of decency. When the car arrived at his place, he got out obediently. But then Maria suddenly changed the route again, insisting she'd stay at Willow's place for the night. Willow frowned. "Are you insane? Who invited you?" Maria gave her a "what can you do about it" look and said, "You want to cheat? Fine, but not right in front of me. My little brother is preparing for the physics competition. George answers every question he asks. I'm not letting you sabotage that. Behave. If my brother fails to get into a top university, it's all on you." Maria followed Willow all the way home. All of George's belongings were already gone. Willow froze in place. She thought, did he really need to overreact like this? Maria fanned the flames beside her. Well, he really dumped you. Guess I was worrying for nothing. I'm going home." Willow snorted. "He dumped me. He'll be crawling back in a few days begging for forgiveness." Maria asked seriously, "Are you sure? Has he ever threatened to break up before?" She continued. "But you use breakups as threats all the time." "George isn't like that." Willow suddenly lost confidence. But so what if they broke up? She didn't like George that much anyway. Willow kept telling herself that. She really didn't like George that much. He looked average, came from an average family, and had no exciting hobbies. Not like Makoto, your classic tall rich handsome type. One day watching animal migrations in Africa, the next day diving in the Maldives. His social media was full of luxury cars and designer watches, and he had thousands of followers. In high school, Makoto was the star of the entire school. Standing next to him, Willow could clearly feel how his status elevated hers. Only she deserved to stand beside him. Other girls envied her. And George? Ordinary, unkempt, nothing special at all, but he knew exactly how to stir a woman's emotions. When he needed her, he would hold her in his arms and tease her until she melted completely. He was so bold, so self-assured, not caring at all that she had only had experience recently and would turn weak the moment he touched her. She never told him that. She didn't want him getting cocky. She didn't understand why a man who was so average and so obviously horny could make her react the way she did. She always thought she would only fall for someone like Makoto. And worse, George could flip the script instantly. He was the one on the lower end of the relationship in theory, yet with one single sentence. I've been busy lately, whatever it is. Let's talk in 2 weeks. He made her so angry she nearly had a heart attack. He acted like she was the one who got dumped, like she was the one pathetically begging him to come back. Willow made up her mind. When he came crawling back asking to reconcile, she would treat him well for a few days, then ruthlessly dump him. Only that would restore the balance of power between them. But what happened? George enjoyed himself with her again and again, and then had the nerve to say they were just friends with benefits, that he felt no responsibility toward her. Willow was furious, on the verge of exploding. She felt like she had been completely used for free. Chapter 12. Willow threw the clothes and pants at me all at once, telling me to put them on quickly and get out. I looked at Cola with some hesitation and said, "Are you sure you still want to keep it? Do you need me to take it away for you?" She practically screamed, shouting, "This is my dog." Well, that put me at ease. After a brief moment of leisure, my life went back on track. The main application had already been submitted. If I passed the preliminary review, the department would arrange 2 interviews. Anna and I were both physics majors, but our research directions were very different. I studied controlled nuclear fusion, while she worked in astrophysics. She helped me rehearse the interview several times, and she had already asked almost every possible question. She said, "Anything deeper than this, I won't understand." Before the formal interview, you can talk to people in your field about the latest developments. She was leaving for the US in a few days, and she had spent almost the entire vacation accompanying me. On the day we parted, I suddenly found myself tongue-tied, unable to fully express the gratitude in my heart. She cut me off with a smile and said, "Classmate Wang, with your talent, you deserve the best platform, otherwise it would be such a waste. I really want to see you produce results." She gave me a gentle smile and said, "See you at MIT." Chapter 13. Fortunately, over the past 2 years, I had never let go of my field. I had always kept up with cutting-edge developments and maintained contact with researchers in the area. I had also been constantly thinking about what I could contribute to this field. The interviews went very smoothly. A few days later, I received the admission letter. The big "congratulations" popped out in my inbox, and my heart pounded. The surroundings suddenly became quiet. I sat there for a few minutes, then took a screenshot and sent it to Anna. She replied quickly. She said, "They decided to admit you 3 years ago." I happened to overhear them chatting in the office back then, saying that the applicant they were optimistic about had withdrawn the application. I felt it was such a pity. "You're back on your original path again. Congratulations." I called my parents, messaged my brothers, and wrote emails to scholars in the same field whom I knew well. When night fell, I burned paper offerings for my grandparents, who had taught me math and physics since I was little but were born in the wrong era and never had the chance to reach their full potential. Fulfilling a wish feels so wonderful. I couldn't wait to share the news with everyone. Anna really understands me. I'm finally able to return to the road I started on. Chapter 14. After that, while applying for my visa, I wrapped up my work at the training center. Willow's cousin still had 2 prepaid lessons left. I told her that after finishing them, I wouldn't be renewing the contract. She hesitated and asked, "Teacher Wang, are you okay?" Willow and Makoto were together now. They were very high profile about it, in obvious contrast to how low-key Willow and I had been when we dated. If she had dumped me a year earlier, I would have been devastated. But now, it was fine because I no longer had expectations, and I had already enjoyed whatever there was to enjoy. I told her cousin, "I'm fine, don't worry." But not 2 days later, Willow came to our center during work hours. She flipped her hair and spoke with disdain. "Using this kind of tactic to force me to come here, aren't you being childish?" I frowned. "What tactic?" she said, "Stopping my cousin's classes." I was speechless. "It's not stopping. It's letting the contract end without renewal. Everything already paid for will still be completed." She scoffed lightly. "You'll only renew if you get back together with me." I rubbed my brow. "This has nothing to do with you. It's because of my own plans," she said. "Stop pretending." With a faint smirk, she acted as if she had complete control over me. The director thought I was being troubled by a parent, so he knocked on the door, came in, and explained to her, "Sorry, ma'am, but Teacher Wang is resigning next month. We have several other physics teachers here. If you need, your child can try their classes for free." "You're resigning?" Willow asked. "Then what are you going to do afterward?" The director realized we knew each other and quietly slipped back out. I couldn't help but laugh. "So concerned about me, ex-girlfriend." Her face instantly returned to cold indifference. I imitated her earlier tone and said, "You'll only renew if we date. TSK, TSK." She went back to pretending she didn't care, flipped her hair, and walked out. That evening, Willow finally messaged her cousin. "Did he tell you what he plans to do in the future?" Her cousin replied, "Which he?" Willow said, "Don't tell me you went to the center to look for Teacher Wang." Her cousin answered, I don't mind that he won't renew. You cheated on him, so it's normal that he doesn't want to teach me. But don't use my name as an excuse to go find Teacher Wong. I don't want to be associated with a scumbag like you and make him think I'm the same kind of person. Chapter 15. After finishing all my classes at the center, I asked Maria's younger brother, Marco, to hang out. The way I got to know him was quite incredible. When we went on a picnic, Maria brought her brother along. That day, the young man looked very aloof. He climbed the mountain alone with his head down, not saying a single unnecessary word. In the middle of the trip, he needed to use the restroom, so the two of us went together. On our way back, we heard Willow on the phone with someone. Her tone was light and cheerful. What do you mean? George is just a poor loser, teaching at a tutoring center. Are you jealous? Then come back to the country. If you come back, I'll break up with him. The air around us suddenly became suffocating. I was actually okay with it. Having someone else take over wasn't necessarily a bad thing. But before I could say anything, Marco marched straight over and slapped Willow across the face. He shouted angrily, "Bitch." Willow was so shocked that her phone fell to the ground. I was deeply stunned. A warrior. He didn't even know my name yet. And that's how we got close. He told me not to be a simp, and I shared with him my experience preparing for academic competitions. But honestly, he didn't need me to succeed. He was extremely gifted, unbelievably hardworking, and intensely focused. Someone like him could succeed at anything. After hearing that I had broken up with Willow, Marco would message me every few days. "George, don't be a simp. Okay, if it really doesn't work, I can introduce my sister to you." I told him I wasn't a simp, but he didn't believe me, and he would ask again a few days later. He lived at a boarding school, so he couldn't come out to see me, nor could he immediately retaliate against Willow. But he persisted in leaving sarcastic comments under every one of Willow's social media posts, along with long strings of thumbs down emojis. Willow replied, "What's wrong with you? I'm best friends with your sister." Marco responded, "Bitch." Every time I saw it, I secretly felt delighted. When Marco finally saw me, he rushed over like a rocket. "George, are you okay?" I opened my email and showed him the admission letter. He yelled, "Holy shit. It's MIT, Einstein's alma mater." His eyes sparkled. He said, "Bro, what's your research direction? Can I visit you in the future?" Chapter 16. A few days later, at Willow's grandmother's birthday banquet, Makoto attended with his arm around Willow. Grandma asked Willow, "Where's that boyfriend of yours? Why didn't he come?" Marco leaned over and said, "George is going to MIT for his PhD. He already broke up with her." Grandma exclaimed, "He's that impressive?" Willow rolled her eyes and said, "Grandma, don't listen to him. George never prepared to go abroad." Marco raised a brow and said, "That's only because you didn't know. He never included you in his future plans at all." For the entire evening, Willow seemed distracted. She was trying to figure out how much truth there was in Marco's words. George had never mentioned going abroad. Besides, if he were going abroad, wouldn't he have to prepare for language exams and the GRE? Her classmates who planned to study overseas in college spent every day doing practice tests or memorizing vocabulary books. George had never prepared for any of that. He joked around every day, doing a job that was extremely easy for him, with no seemingly lofty ambitions. Willow assumed he would just take advantage of middle school parents for the rest of his life. But then she thought, if it were true, the way he saved money would suddenly make sense. He made $60,000 to $70,000 a month, didn't buy property or invest, didn't smoke or drink, had no bad habits except being a bit of a pervert, and only spent $2,000 or $3,000 a month. So he'd been building up to a big move all along. Willow thought she had to go ask George and get a clear answer. If what Marco said was true, wouldn't that mean George had used her? She contributed her extraordinary body, contributed emotional support. What did he take her for? Beside her, Makoto asked darkly, "You're still thinking about George?" Willow snapped out of it. "Of course not. I'm just wondering whether Marco was lying to me." Chapter 17. Willow asked me out. She looked upset, staring at me as if I had committed some terrible crime. She bit her lip and said, "Marco said you're going to MIT. Is it true?" I answered, "It is," she said. "Then why didn't you ever tell me?" She fired off her questions like bullets. "We were together for a year and you never mentioned it once." "George, what did you take me for?" She looked betrayed, as though I were the real scumbag. But she was the one who used me to fill her empty time while waiting for Makoto to return. I had been faithful, never cheated, never treated her as a substitute. I just wanted to fight for a better future. She glared at me and said, "You calculated everything perfectly, didn't you? You said you loved me. Every one of your friends thought you were deeply devoted. But you had everything planned from the start. You just used me as a transition." She continued, "What did you take me for? You make so much money. How much of it did you ever spend on me? Did you just treat me as some kind of outlet?" She was going too far. I defended myself. You also treated me as a transition. You waited for your true love to come back, and I waited to save enough to study abroad. Neither of us owes the other anything. She broke down and shouted, "You freeloaded off me." People in the cafe turned to look. Someone even started recording. I quickly tried to calm her. "What do you mean freeloading? I won't let you degrade yourself like that. I fell for you at first sight. You're important to me." After being with her, saving money didn't feel painful anymore. I was in a good mood every day. When I walked down the street with her, people looked at me with envy, and my vanity was endlessly satisfied. Just then, a furious male voice came from the side, shouting, "You bastard! How dare you steal my girl?" I replied, "Makoto, who taught you to speak so crudely, or were you just born without manners?" He had just joined a workplace that put great emphasis on personal conduct. If he wanted to argue or fight, I was more than happy to oblige. I wouldn't mind this whole scene spreading online. After all, there were plenty of details that would make him look bad, and the academic world didn't care about this stuff, as long as you didn't date your advisor or your student. Any romantic drama was just decoration around your actual ability. I leaned into the scene, protecting Willow behind me, and said with deep, dramatic affection, "I really do like Willow. Is it a crime to like someone? If you really loved her, you wouldn't have broken up with her after high school. Do you know how sad she was? I was the only one who cared about her." Makoto roared. "George, fuck you." He lunged at me, but I kicked him to the ground. He got back up, glared at me viciously, then turned to the people recording and slapped a phone out of someone's hand, shoving the surrounding crowd. I sighed, picked up the rose from the vase on the table, and handed it to Willow. I said, "Willow, this is the last time I'll protect you. Goodbye, ex-girlfriend." Chapter 18. As expected, the video from the cafe went mildly viral online. Willow's face was simply born for internet traffic. There were many people criticizing me, but also plenty who envied me. Someone posted, "This guy is way too lucky. Dated such a gorgeous beauty, and after the breakup he immediately got into MIT. Even in my dreams I wouldn't dare dream that big." The best part, the beauty actually got emotionally shaken because of him. "I bet $100 she still likes him." Others commented, "This girl is insanely beautiful, the eyebrows, the legs, the flawless skin, the curves." Suddenly I understand why ancient warlords waged wars over women. A woman who looks like this is someone men should fight over. My buddy wants to win back his cheating ex. Honestly, people lose IQ after heartbreak. There were also people saying, "What's wrong with all your values? This MIT guy stole another man's girlfriend. Why are you idolizing a loser?" And someone replied, "I'd love to swap my girlfriend for her." I was speechless. Soon, school was about to start. Riding on this wave of attention, I opened a video account to document my study abroad life. Packing luggage, recorded it. Terrible airplane food, took a picture. Campus tour, filmed an episode. When I moved into my rented place, it was almost empty. Only then did I learn that rentals here didn't include furniture. The bed I ordered online had to be installed by myself. Well, but that was good content. I bought a drill and a hammer, set up my phone, and recorded the entire process of assembling my bed frame. That video exploded, apparently. Viewers loved watching me struggle clumsily. My videos were all casually filmed and roughly edited, so they didn't take much time. But once the new semester began, my research project intensified. Every day I was either buried in the lab, or in the office doing modeling or computational analysis, even eating while discussing work with my research group. Gradually, my updates slowed. From a daily vlogger, I became a weekly one, then a monthly one. Recently, I didn't even manage a monthly update. One day, I logged in by chance and saw a familiar avatar in my DMs. The message read, "Why aren't you updating anymore?" It was Willow. It had been 5 months since the last time we parted in that cafe. Chapter 19. A friend told Willow that George had opened a social media account, so she clicked in to take a look. As she watched, she criticized him in her mind. The most popular video was the one where he held a drill and made crooked holes in wooden planks, ending up with a slightly wobbly bed. He placed the mattress on top, sat down, bounced a few times, and muttered to himself, "I hope this thing doesn't collapse." In the comments, many people praised him. "Bro is amazing. His hands-on skills are insane." Willow thought, "You call that amazing? Just wait until the bed collapses. Then he'll learn his lesson." In the next video, George bought a piece of fried chicken from KFC and devoured it hungrily, finishing with a satisfied burp. Willow thought, "Is it really that exaggerated? Is food over there that scarce?" But on her way home from work, she found herself, on a strange impulse, buying KFC fried chicken too. In a video he uploaded a few days ago, there was an event in his department that gave out free burgers. He happily carried a paper tray to the line, unable to hide the grin on his face as he said, "I don't have to pay for lunch today. Hee hee." A woman behind him said, Wait for me, Wang. Who was that woman? Why was she so close to him? George even helped her get ketchup. Did she not have hands? Willow was displeased. Every day she clicked into George's homepage to check whether he was working hard. But suddenly he stopped updating. For more than 20 days in a row, he didn't post a single new video. And Willow felt a surge of inexplicable anger. He was always like this, starting off passionately, showering her with sweet words and gifts when he was pursuing her, to win her over. He told her all kinds of bizarre stories from the tutoring center, the boy who fought with his parent in George's office, the girl who fell in love with her homeroom teacher and threatened to die if transferred. Willow wasn't even a particularly gossipy person, yet she somehow really wanted to know what happened next in those stories. He planted emotional hooks in her, slowly drawing her in, but after he got her, George wasn't as good to her anymore. He slacked on chores, gave thoughtless gifts, and didn't coax her properly when she was upset. He was a jerk with no sense of follow-through, always burning hot for 3 minutes and then going cold. She wanted to fix him. She couldn't let other people fall victim to him. In the comments, some clueless people defended him. Maybe he's just really busy lately. Making vlogs isn't his main job anyway. Yeah, he's a physics PhD student. Handsome guy. Can you talk about your research next time? I'd love to hear it. A few days later, he obligingly updated his account. The footage was not polished at all, a messy bedroom behind him. With the camera zoomed in on his face, he said, "Hello everyone. Hello. Today I'll talk about my project. My field is controlled nuclear fusion, which is basically clean energy based on the same process that powers the sun and other stars. You've all heard of the hydrogen bomb, right? A hydrogen bomb is a one-time, uncontrolled fusion reaction, but what humans need is a stable, continuous release of energy for electricity, heating, and so on. The goal of my research is to make the fusion process controllable." When he talked about his field, George's eyebrows danced, and he practically glowed from within. Willow had never seen him like this. He said he had been following this field since college. He believed in the future of controlled fusion because fusion had no chain reaction. If something went wrong, the reaction would extinguish itself, avoiding irreversible disasters. They had dated for over a year, yet George had never told her any of this. Willow realized she had never truly known him. She was angry at his lack of openness, yet that very secrecy made him more intriguing. From tutoring to saving money to studying abroad, every step he took was unexpected. If she weren't the victim, she might have already begun to admire this man. He was like an onion, only showing her the outermost layer. She wanted to peel him open layer by layer to see what was inside. Willow suddenly realized she had a bit of a masochistic streak. Since the breakup, she had thought of him far too often. Chapter 20. More than a month later, George casually posted another update. He picked a few mint leaves from his balcony, crushed them with lemon slices, and made a simple cold drink. When they were together, George often made this for himself too. Willow never thought it tasted anything special, but today, on a strange impulse, she went to the supermarket to buy mint and lemons. When Makoto came home from work, the mint lemon water in her hand was already almost gone. He stared at the cup, stunned. Willow tilted her head and said, "Do you want some? I can make you a glass." But Makoto suddenly exploded in anger. With one swipe, he knocked the cup to the floor and shouted, "You never fucking change. He's already gone to America and you're still degrading yourself over him." His words were disgusting. Willow forced down her temper and argued, "This has nothing to do with George. I just wanted flavored water." Makoto roared, unable to contain himself. "Don't tell me the fried chicken you bought had nothing to do with him. Or you secretly looking up MIT's website. I checked your phone, you even messaged him. Stop pretending, you stupid bitch." His shouting gave Willow a headache, and only then did she realize Makoto wasn't the same as the boy in her memory. The current him spoke crudely, had no hobbies, and no ambition. Unlike George, who seemed to shine all over when he talked about his field. Even though she resented George for not being honest with her, she had to admit he was doing something meaningful. His life was full, vibrant, and exciting. Willow found herself blaming Makoto. If he had become this mediocre and repulsive, why did he come back for her at all? He tainted her once pure, beautiful memory of her first love. She even began to doubt her younger self's taste in men. Chapter 21. I didn't reply to Willow's message in my inbox, and she never sent another. I figured she had just thought of me out of boredom, just like I would occasionally remember those days when my emotions used to be swayed by her. After starting my PhD, I met a few women as well. Some relationships lasted longer, some shorter, but rarely did anyone stir my emotions anymore. Whenever my work or theirs got busy, we naturally ended things. No one got hurt. At this university, everyone poured themselves into their work. Dating ranked too low in life's priorities. Half a year passed like this, until one day, a colleague came to the lab and called out, "George, there's a very beautiful Chinese woman looking for you." I put down what I was doing and walked out. Willow was standing at the door, beautiful beyond description, yet looking slightly uneasy. She said, "Hi, I'm traveling with my best friend, and we just happened to pass by your area." She wore an elegant mermaid dress, arms folded lightly, her brows and eyes glowing with charm. People walking by turned to look. Colleagues who knew me stood behind her with their mouths exaggeratedly wide open, making a "so what's going on between you two" kind of face at me. I used to assume there was a difference between Eastern and Western beauty standards, but Willow dissolved that difference instantly. Some people are just born gifted, it's enviable. I glanced at the time and told her, "I'll be done with work in 35 minutes. Why don't you walk around nearby? I'll treat you to lunch." She nodded, unexpectedly obedient. I chose an Indian restaurant. Her slender fingers tore into the naan as she looked at me and said, "I didn't know you liked this." There was a place near where we used to live. Their chicken curry was really good, but I had no desire to reminisce. On the way to the restaurant, my gaze kept drifting toward her. Her movements were demure, her body full and curvy, the tailored dress outlining every contour. I found myself wanting to touch her. She had shown up at my door. After all, after a few bites of rice, I hinted tactfully, "Are you free this afternoon to get a checkup? I can book a doctor for you, results come out the same day." She didn't understand. After I explained, she frowned and said, "I'm not that kind of casual woman." I said sincerely, "I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I apologize." But when I finished work in the afternoon, Willow was waiting at the building entrance, with an annoyed expression. She tossed a test sheet at me and said, "See for yourself." Everything was negative across the board. I felt reassured, and with my lips pressed to hide a smile, I asked, "So, shall we go back and order takeout?" Chapter 22. She followed me home, looking a little humiliated. I pinched her cheek, then touched her thigh, almost like petting a cat. A sensual woman really can give a man a lot of strength. She was somewhat reserved, and I said, "Don't move. You're already here. What's wrong with letting me touch you?" 5 minutes later, things were getting out of control. Her emotions were overflowing. When she was in the heat of the moment, it felt as though she loved me deeply. She asked whether I had missed her during the past half year, asked why I never replied to her message, asked whether I felt proud dumping her right after getting a PhD offer, asked what the women who appeared in my vlogs were to me. At first, I answered honestly, but later I lost my patience. If I lied too obviously, she got upset, so I simply worked her until she passed out. When she woke from her nap, I was hungry. I asked, "Willow, what do you want for takeout?" One hand was scrolling on my phone, the other wandering over her upper body. She said indignantly, "You're treating me like takeout." No need to put it so crudely. She insisted we go out to eat and chose a slightly expensive restaurant. One of those ambience-heavy places, tiny steak portions, average taste, good for couples on a date. After dinner, she picked up the rose from the vase on the table and walked out with it. The waiter chased after her, and she waved her hand impatiently, saying, "The gentleman behind me will pay." I lost $200 for no reason. No idea what she was sulking about. On the way back, she smelled the flower as we walked down the midnight street. Then she said with certainty, "You don't like me as much as before. You didn't like me that much even back when we were together. At first, when I got close to other men, you would be hurt. Later, you seemed eager to push me away." How should I put it? I was hurt, but not enough to outweigh my future. I still had my own path to walk. Both she and I had strong desires for control. We wanted the other to surrender, and we wanted to stay in charge of our own lives. As casual bed partners, we were perfectly matched. Other people weren't as forceful, not as exciting, not as good at playing the part, but in other aspects, she and I simply weren't compatible. Chapter 23. Willow and I maintained this kind of relationship. Every few days, she would come over to my place. When Marco came to the US to visit, she happened to be there too. Marco looked at me incredulously and said, "George, seriously, you're going down the same road again?" My weakness, my inability to resist beautiful women, was something I couldn't control. After a few days together, Marco said to me, "Fine, whatever, as long as you like it. Anyway, I can tell, you don't really take her that seriously." That night, Willow sat on my lap and said, "Even a kid can see it. You only think about your research. I'm your fuel, your consumable material for science." I turned and kissed her, saying, "That's not true." She started pestering me to let her appear in my vlog. She said, "Your colleagues showed up in your videos. That female classmate of yours showed up too." I was impatient and eager to get to the main event, already burning with heat, so I agreed without thinking. When I woke up, I saw she had posted a photo on her moments of me eating a burger outside the lab. Last week was Free Burger Day, and I took her with me. She complained about how bad it tasted, but she didn't eat any less because of it. My homepage comment section was a battlefield. Some people quoting, "Food and sex are human nature." Some digging up the old video with Makoto and launching a wave of criticism. Let them say what they wanted. She had traveled thousands of miles to see me. I was willing to indulge her. Chapter 24. At the age of 30, our team's controlled nuclear fusion project finally achieved a breakthrough. The technology was commercialized, and the cost of electricity dropped to just a fraction of fossil fuels. Everyone on the team achieved financial freedom. I looked back at the wishes I made on my 20th birthday. 1. Take part in a research project related to controlled nuclear fusion. 2. Do a PhD at MIT. 3. Buy my parents a big house back in our hometown. 4. Learn to surf. 5. Travel around the world. 6. Date an ultra-super gorgeous beauty. 7. Think about it later. Crossed out. 7. Save 1.5 million. Crossed out. 7. Save 2 million. Everything came true except surfing. Surfing was too hard. I had given up on that. A few years later, I returned to China to teach at a university. At the same time, I founded a charity fund to support children from impoverished regions in completing high school and university. I wanted to help more kids realize their potential and live a life with options. As for my love life, I had a few mutually beneficial relationships with several beautiful women, and Willow and I broke up and got back together multiple times. People online all noticed that I was a looks-first kind of guy. Most netizens said they understood. My mom, seeing me remain unmarried, advised me, "There's no need to find such a beautiful girlfriend. What matters is that she's a good person." And I thought, no, mother, it's very important. We men need something good to keep us motivated to work hard. I've always thought that way.